Hola, amigos y amigas. It's your old pal, the Colonel here. Hope everybody had a great Cinco de Mayo. We did. We're still celebrating right through to Ocho de Mayo, which is today. So I thought this week we would revisit a topic that we discussed at a meeting about a year and a half ago, actually October 2018, and that was how do you fix a flat tire and get yourself out of a bad situation when you're on the road and you find out you got a flat. So thought we'd divide it up into two sections. Today we're going to talk about how you go about fixing your tire to get you somewhere where you get a permanent fix. And next week we'll talk about inflators and those issues. So there's really three primary types of tools you can use to fix your flat when you're on the road. So, you're riding down the road and it's start feeling like that a little bit, and you pull over and yep, there's a nail or a screw, or you walk out from lunch and you look and your tire's about half flat and you roll around and you see a screw in there. So what do? Well, the tried and true method that's been around for years is a string type plug kit. And most of you have probably seen these and used these. You can move the camera on in a little bit, my camera operator. And basically, you've got a tool to insert the string into the hole. You've got rubber cement to slick it up with. And you've got this that's called a rasp. And that's what you do to ream out the hole so you can make enough room for that string to go in. Now, a bit of a tip is if your screw or nail is still in your tire, before you go yanking it out, get all this stuff laid out and ready to go. So when you pull that screw out, you can jam this rasp right in there, and that's going to stop the air from leaking out. So once you get that in there, then you peel off one of these strings. You thread it up in the end of this tool. You slather a little rubber cement on it, and it takes a bit of effort. Pull this out, put that in the hole, push it in about 2/3 of the way. When it's in 2/3 of the way, pull it straight out. Don't turn it, don't do anything, pull it straight out. It will let go of that, and it will leave typically about that much hanging out on the outside of the tire. Now what you want to do, you're not done, because if you don't trim that off, you take off riding and that thing flapping around is going to pull that plug out. So this is when you reach for your handy dandy knife. You trim that off as close to the edge to the edge of the tire as you can, and spit on a little bit, see if it's blowing a little air, and you're probably going to be good to go. So that's one of the ways. Now, they also now sell these red strings, and these are called self-vulcanizing. And that eliminates the need to have the rubber cement. So you can buy these online, and they're pretty handy. And then you just pop them in, zoom in, out, trim it off, and you're on your way. So that's a good old tire plug repair kit. This is what I use, what I carry. It's easy. It's pretty hard to screw it up, and pretty cheap. So that's one. Next thing, the brand name is the Stop and Go Tire Plugger. Stop and go. That's what the old Colonel has to do about every 2 hours when he's riding the motorcycle. He's got to stop and go. But this is what you also probably heard referred to as the mushroom plug kit. Now it's a little bit bigger, a little bulkier, and comes with a number of tools in there. Now, just like the other one, you have a rasp type tool to make the hole big enough to get the mushroom in. Now this is what the mushroom looks like. You got to use these mushrooms. You can't use creminis, you can't use morels, you can't use any of your favorite mushrooms. You have to use these. Now the way this tool works, again, before you go yanking out the offending projectile from your tire, is you get this puppy ready to go, pull it out, jam that sucker in there, and that will stop the leak. Leave that in there for a while. Now you've got to take this mushroom, and you need to load it up into the gun. And it's a little bit of a procedure to do, and you got to get it in there straight. And then once you do, you unscrew this out of the tire. This part stays in the tire. It's in the puncture hole. I'm going to take this out for simplicity here. Then you have to screw the gun in all the time it's in the tire. Okay, you screw it in, get it in there in the tire, and then you squeeze this handle, and that will force this little mushroom through this little hole out into the tire. And if you do it right, when it gets in there, this little top, the mushroom part of the plug, there's that fly from the chicken recipes back. The top of this plug will pop out, and you can pull it from the outside and pull it up tight, and then again you cut this off even with the tread, and you're good to go. I have had mixed luck with this. I tried one on a test tire one time, thought I had it plugged, let it sit overnight, and I came out the next morning and this thing was laying on the garage floor. Apparently it had gotten a little bit folded over, and the entire mushroom didn't go through, and it spit itself out. So if you get these to work properly, they're really good. In our club, Sir Lawrence of Carnac, our president, this is what he uses, and he's very good at using it, and you know, he's plugged a lot of tires with this. A little more complicated, a little bit bigger to carry, but if you do it properly, it's a good tool. So lastly, and I'm just going to move this over to the side here, there's another type of kit called the Dynaplug. That's it. I mean, it can't get any smaller than this. So how in the world does the Dynaplug work? Well, you unscrew the top, and on the inside, you'll pull out, guess what? A reamer. Okay, put that aside. Then inside, we've got 3 little brass-tipped strings. Now this is a metal jacket. The string is inside of there, but this is what you use to plug the tire. And then also, so you don't run out of air, again, when you pull out the nail or the screw, you got a little plug here, just jam that in there, and hopefully that'll hold the air in the tire until you get ready to go. So what do? Pull out one of these little gizmos here with the brass tip. Got to load it on the end here. Put this back on. Okay, put the top back on. This is your insertion tool. Okay. And that's it. Okay, so when you're ready to go, pull that plug out, jam this sucker in there, and then just pull it straight out. When you do, you'll pull the metal shaft out. You will leave the brass tip. Is that bill collector again? Who is that? I told them stop calling me here. I don't have any money. I haven't gotten my stimulus check yet. Anyway, when you pull this out, that'll leave a little brass tip in there, and that's your plug. Now you can use more than one of these if the hole is a pretty good size hole. One thing about this thing, while it's compact, boy, it really takes a lot of effort to push this thing in. So in all of these tools, it is good for you to rotate the tire on your bicycle to where your motorcycle to where you can really get some good leverage on it. And this one really takes a lot of leverage to get in. It's very compact, works good, but boy, it takes some oomph to use it. So at our meeting about 18 months ago, we had a tire, and we started out, it was a tire on a wheel inflated to, I don't know, 42, 45 pounds. And we proceeded to drill a hole in that tire for each one of these, and we used each of these and successfully plugged that tire, and when we were done, we still had about 35 pounds of air left in that tire. So all of these work well. You probably got one of them in your trunk or your glove box of your car. I would encourage you, if you have an old tire, experiment a little bit and work on it. But any of these will get you off the road and get you somewhere where you can get a permanent tire repair. So that's it for the different types of tools we've got. I'd like to, as always, thank our production assistant, Mary Lou, my sweetheart Miller. I'd like to thank our chief tire technologist, Yasser Itzaflat. Let's see, our purchasing agent, Lois Bitter, and our Jumpstart expert, Stan Welbeck. And as always, our motorcycle repair technology advisor is Anita Hammer. So, folks, until next week. Oh, one other thing. It's love bug season, and if you're out and you get love bugs on your bike, I'll give you a little tip. Take a dryer sheet, wet it down, wet your bike down, and use that dryer sheet, and it'll take those love bugs off like nobody's business. So if you're out riding your motorcycle, be aware, take care. We'll see you next week, and we'll talk about inflators.